Excuse me?
Are you starting with the opening lineup?
No. Yeah.
What about
Yeah, Hurd will throw Friday, Holman will throw Saturday, and then we'll play it by ear from there. 4 games. There's too much to get through in the first 2 games.
Gage Jump hasn't pitched a whole ton in the scrimmages lately. What is he all right, basically?
We get players ready for the season in different ways sometimes. That's what we're doing, and coming off the history, we're always going to take care of the players, and that's what we're doing right now. He'll be just fine.
Maybe just expand upon Thatcher and why this is a good moment for him to just
I think I don't look at it that way. I look at it as the next game on the schedule. I certainly think we're happy to have him pitching. I think if you look at the improvement at the end of last season, really, whatever you want to call it, mid-May, through the College World Series, he showed pitchability, showed ability to manage the game. And if you're going to pitch on any Friday, and it just happens to be this Friday, the expectations of giving your team a quality start and chance to win. And I think he has the ability and mental disposition to do that, and proved that time and again at the end of last season. And then the fall, I thought he really, really improved throughout the fall. And obviously, you look at him now, he's physical, strong. Bullpen was great yesterday. Ryan Lovato, the bullpen catcher, don't think he moved one time. And I'm excited to start us off with him. It's very rare, one guy pitches the last game of the season, you win, and pitches the first game. I saw something, I want to say it was Vanderbilt, for the last 15 years, their pitcher that led and wins has not returned the next year. So to have a guy like Thatcher, because they're moving on in the draft, obviously, to have a guy that has 8 wins, that type of experience, to be back this year is a great thing for our team.
What do you want to see out of your first year? What questions in your mind you'd like to see, not answered, but maybe things you're kind of interested in?
Yeah, obviously we treat every game like a playoff game, so the goal is to win each game in front of you and then improve while we're doing that. And part of improving is finding out your best team, what that looks like, and we're not close to that right now, just to be frank. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's actually in a good way. The emergence of some players from the fall till as we sit today has been remarkable. There'll be guys that'll run out on the mound, or positionally especially, whoa, in my head I didn't have that player in the projections, and so we have a lot of work to do to sort that out, and that's a good thing. I just think we have more options maybe than I thought coming out of November.
What about Luke Holman?
Yeah.
And I know you talked about it before, but what attracted you guys to get him from Alabama?
Yeah, I love Luke. Just as we were preparing to play them last year, we prepare a lot, and watching, the previous few outings and looking at, what he does in terms of flood the strike zone with multiple pitches. He's a great athlete. He fields his position. He's quick to the plate. He's got a low heartbeat, and can strike people out, can get weak contact, and it's just such a key part of what we're doing. And he's pitched well the last couple weeks, and he's been what I thought he would be. And he's a phenomenal human being too. It's exactly what you want to have in the program is great talented players, as Luke is, that are great people. And kind of sad we're only going to have him for 1 year, because he's a good pitcher and a great person.
Coach, talk about playing the games during the day instead of the evening.
Yeah, I think the weather unpredictability is the first thing. The second thing is we have multiple teams here, and I'm a college baseball fan and pull for coaches, but LSU is my priority, and I want to make sure we have the best chance to play all 4 of our games. And I thought we had a phenomenal crowd last year on opening day, and I thought we had a phenomenal crowd when we played Southern on Tuesday at 2 o'clock. It was a beautiful day, and I'm just kind of looking around going like, this is sweet, so I'm excited about that. And it looks like we're a little bit like this on Friday and Saturday as far as the weather, but I think it just gives us the best chance to play all 4 of our games.
How much do you anticipate getting a lot of different looks as far as your fielders go?
It's one game at a time, and I'm still learning a little bit about our opponents and matchups and those types of things. Everything we do is in the context of winning the game, like I said, but trying to move ourselves towards our best team. I think there's a lot more possibility of that than I thought, and that's a credit to our players. The improvement of about 5 position players since we returned has been remarkable, and I'm really excited about that. So there may be a little more than I thought, but it'll all be in the context of winning the game. And we got a few things. I'm not going to go into each one of them, but we got a few guys just with small, nagging, nicked up things right now that may play into that.
In the majors, they say nothing's like opening day, right?
Yeah.
How much of that is the same in college? I mean, there's something about that first game.
I think it's special. I think in the context of college baseball, we don't have a spring training, where you're playing anybody else. Fall baseball, you're scrimmaging a lot. The NCAA has limitations on days, hours, what you can and can't do. And then you only get 56 of them guaranteed, 56 games. So that's a third of what a Major League Baseball schedule is. So I think it's special, and I don't take them for granted, for sure. And there's a lot of work goes into this. This isn't just, hey, when you get the team the first day of school. It's like I'm on a plane flying out here 2.5 years ago and probably trying to talk to somebody that's impacting this year's team. So from my perspective, it's a always evolving deal to put together each team, and so to finally get to the field is pretty cool. And my players are excited, and it's a test, kind of more than the excitement. We look at it as a test of mental strength to deal with the things that come along with those, excitement and emotions and those types of things.
To that degree, how much do you feel like your team has been able to put aside what last year was and focus on those?
Phenomenal. Like this month has been awesome in terms of that. I mean, these guys doesn't guarantee us one bit of success, but could not have higher marks on how I believe we've improved in the last month and the work that they put in. And if you're doing that, the focus is on the task at hand. And I think we handled that part of it about as good. I'd give us an A+ on that.
Do you think Hayden and Al have a lot to do with that?
100%. I'm super proud of those guys. Definitely wanted both of them to come back. And, the player leadership thing is hard to find. As young people, sometimes they have to get over the hump of, I want to be liked before I want to be respected. And those guys they're men now. And they command a lot of respect from their teammates. Both of them, as we're sorting through lineup things, have had times where they've been the guy and the times they haven't been the guy, and have handled it so well that both of them massively contributed to a national championship. And so any role of anybody on the team or any experience that somebody may have, those guys have had. And they've handled it awesome. And, I see things that make me very proud of those guys. And, it's cool to have, 5 or 6 more months, with them on the team.
Gavin Guidry's been trying to, improve his fastball. At least that's what he told us. What sort of progress have you seen from him on the mound, and particularly with that pitch?
I think he's thrown strikes, and I think his last outing, which was Sunday, was his best outing, and I think I'm excited to put him in the game and see him execute that, because I do think it's a little bit better.
You mentioned getting games in during the day with the earlier day games. Is there any concern about the weather for opening day this weekend?
Yeah, I think there is, and I think it's just if we're playing earlier, it just gives us the opportunity to move it back. I think the positive is it's warmer, than it was last year. Was 29 degrees at 6 o'clock, on opening day. It was 47 at first pitch, so or something like that. So the fact that it's going to be warmer, we have a little bit more flexibility, which is why part of the reason we're doing that. We'll play it by ear. You know, we want to get out there Friday. I don't see any scenario where we would flip the schedule where our game's not the first game played. You know, so we'll see how that goes.
What have you seen?
I know you're a football guy as well, and seeing the Chiefs just
Yeah.
repeat as champions. What in your mind is something that the championship program, statistically successful programs and teams have?
Man, that's
What you wanna have here?
a great question.
Thank you.
That's
I'm waiting.
that is a great question. So I really respect Andy Reid. I really respect Andy Reid. I think the first thing that comes to mind is I remember watching them play on Christmas Day, and I was like, they're not themselves. Like, this is not, like, they're not in sync. Like, something's off. And I think they lost to the Raiders, if I remember right.
Yep.
And it was a terrible football game. And I was like, my dad is a huge 49ers fan. And so somehow we were talking about it. And I literally think I said to him, like, well, you don't have to worry about the Chiefs this year. Like, they're not on it. Like, and then, you know, they regrouped. I think they won the next week or won the next 2 weeks. And then they won a home game, like playing in, like, I'm sure the Miami Dolphins love playing in like negative 10-degree weather. And then they went on the road and beat the two best teams in the AFC. And so, like, very methodically, so responding to adversity. And we talked about that Sunday, like, hey, I want you to watch the game, and then I want you to watch something bad happen, and then watch how somebody responds to it and tell me the outcome on the game. Well, Mahomes threw an interception, like, on the first pass of the second half, and then he turned back into Patrick Mahomes. Like, so that had zero effect on him. So I think handling adversity, the execution, like the play, the game-winning play, like the 4th-and-1 run. So, like, the command the players have of themselves, you know, they're just out there executing in, like, the biggest moments of that. So perseverance and just being able to focus on execution and not freaking out when, you know, something bad happens and continuing to play. So big-time fan. Like, you know, I mean, Tom Brady's Tom Brady, but number 15's moving in that direction. So I know it's a baseball press conference. Sorry, I'm talking about football.
Well, when Saban was here and they won the title the next year, he said, we're not defending anything.
Yeah.
Because that title's won.
Yeah.
No one's taken it away.
Yeah.
It seems to be the same thing
Yeah.
you're saying. We're not defending. Is that kind of the same
Yeah,
message?
I think so. I did not necessarily steal that from him. I actually, you know, was listening to John Gordon, like, over Christmas, who actually came and talked to our team on Wednesday, which was phenomenal. But he was talking to the Tampa Bay Lightning a few years ago around that concept. And I think in answering Michael's question about being good moving forward, it's over the break. That was my way of saying, you know, we are attacking a new opportunity. It's a completely different team. You know, those we all know those guys from last year. I mean, those dudes are special. You know what I mean? With Paul and Dylan and Trey and Cade and Gavin and Ty and go on and on. This is not that team. Like, it might as well be a different, you know, team. You know, it is a different team. So I think we have an opportunity in front of us that, you know, hasn't been easy to do well recently. You know, whether it's a defending champion. I mean, you know, 2012, Arizona won it and didn't go to the postseason 3 years in a row after that. You know, UCLA won it in 13 and didn't do very well. Coastal Carolina won it in 16 and didn't go to the postseason in 17. And then, you know, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. So that guarantees you nothing, and it's not going to win any game for us this year. So we need to do what we need to do to attack this opportunity. And like I said, high marks for the players for how they're approaching that.
Stephen Milam's been pretty impressive, at least during the preseason practices. What's sort of the key to his success in terms of just handling that level of pitching already?
Well, he's a really good player, and we wouldn't have brought him here if he wasn't a really good player. And sometimes it just takes a little bit. And here's what I would tell you is high school baseball in Las Cruces, New Mexico, you're not facing Luke Holman, Thatcher Hurd, Gage Jump, Nate Ackenhausen. And, I mean, that can be smothering. And then you're dealing with that caliber of pitching and then learning how to deal with a little bit of adversity and failure. And then you're practicing more than you ever have in your life. I mean, he legitimately said to us, like, gosh, coach, now I know why we're good. Like, I mean, so, and then school. And so, like, you're plugging, and this is for all freshmen, you're plugging them into this environment that they have no way to be prepared for when they show up here. But at the end of the day, he's a really good player. And so I'd never, like, doubted any of that. I laid out on a 8.5 by 11 sheet of what he needs to do to be the best player he can be and positively affect our team. And literally came back, and he is checking all of those boxes. And so super pumped to have him here for the next 3 years.
I'm wondering if you're having any Bradley Cooper withdrawals.
Yeah, I mean, geez. Yeah, Bryce Collins was on my team for 5 years in a row. You know, I think we recruited really hard on the pitching side of it. I think, you know, asking about him, I mean, he pitched in more wins than any pitcher in college baseball over the last 3 years. So, you know, in that grouping that I just listed, I mean, Riley'd be right at the top of that. I think the best medicine, though, is we have real guys and options to fill those innings. And I'm excited about that. And there's a lot of guys I can't wait to, you know, hand them the ball or have the previous pitcher hand them the ball here over the next couple of weeks.
Is it going to be with a breadth of guys, not just one guy that like Riley could do it all the time?
I think you might see a little of both. There's a couple guys that are candidates to pitch a lot. I want to say at least 4, maybe 5 of them pitched twice last weekend to kind of simulate pitch, day off pitch. And they were all as good the second time as they were the first time, maybe even better in a couple cases. So that was great to see. I think, you know, there's several of them that I'm confident they're going to be very consistent, you know, at executing. And, you know, you need that. You know, there's thunderbolt coming, you know, at some point, whether it's injury, adversity, somebody's not as good as you think. And there's a few guys, though, that the heart and the head is right to where they'll be able to respond multiple times.
It's a sweeping generalization, but is it safe to say that last year's team had a lot of high-end talent, and this year's team maybe has a deeper talent pool?
I don't know. You know, I told the players, like, I pulled some quote the very first meeting, like, comparison's like the thief of joy. And so I'd be like a hypocrite if I was trying to do that all the time. And so I really haven't thought about that. Again, it's like this opportunity. Like, flags, as Coach Saban said, the flag's never coming down. We don't have to defend that. I think I'm just excited for getting this thing going. Like, they deserve to play and in a good position to play. I'm excited about what we have for 2024.
Anyone else for Jay?
Coach, is there any update on Chase Shores and possibly his return for the season?
Yeah, he's just hit this point where you have a 2-week break in your throwing program, and he just finished his first week of the 2-week break. But all signs positive, and you know, I'd love to get him back in there. You know, we're exploring, you know, every possibility of having him back in some type of capacity. But, you know, you mentioned high-end talent. Like, that's as high-end talent as you get to college baseball without losing in the draft. So we got to do that right. You know, if there's an avenue that it's right and we're not putting him at risk, there's nobody more than me that wants to see that big dude on the mound chucking it. And worst moment of the season last year for me, people ask me that all the time, is when he got hurt, you know, because that's how good I think he is. So excited to get him back, progressing well, start throwing again next week. Don't have a timetable yet. It would definitely be way more towards the very end of the season, you know, if at all.
All good?
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Coach.